It is still election night and election morning, depending on where you are. Back to one of our top stories. The Wisconsin Democratic primary for governor still too close to call for the moment. State Assembly member Francesca Hong, tight race with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. Thin margin separates them. Crowley now ahead by almost 4,000 votes, 312,000 to 308,000. The winner will face Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany, who has been endorsed by President Trump. We've been waiting, Ron, for this last big tranche, whatever you want to call it. It was sort of Francesca Hong's big last hope. Didn't look too good for her.
No, and look, I think interesting to compare Wisconsin and Minnesota tonight, because I think the story still is, with very few exceptions, El Sayed is the biggest one, where electability is still a concern. In a swing state, Democratic voters are still shying away from the most liberal options. Minnesota is an easier state for Democrats to win than Wisconsin, and Peggy Flanagan winning there, and Crowley apparently likely to win in Wisconsin, is revealing of what we've seen around the country. One other point, the total turnout in this may reach about 90% of the presidential year primary turnout in 2020 in Wisconsin. Democratic voters are very engaged, and that is a reality that amid all of the kind of struggle in the party is still out there facing Republicans in November.
I say two things that set El Sayed apart. One, he is not a democratic socialist. And two, he is an exceptional political athlete who is one of the more charismatic people that's ever been on this set, whether you agree with him or don't. And a lot of these other people don't fit that category. There is some credit's due for being candidates. There are actually candidate quality matters.
Candidate quality matters. And I think sometimes Democrats get too caught up in these labels, progressive, moderate. At the end of the day, it's not the only thing that matters, but candidate quality goes a long ways. I would rather have a really talented, charismatic, strong voice with thoughtful policy, with leadership, who's a little more progressive. I would take that any day over kind of a moderate dud. I think that is a trade-off. Now, I will say, I think here in Wisconsin, what we've got is two candidates, both of whom are progressive. One of them is a Democratic socialist, but these are both progressive candidates, and they are running against an election-denying Trump sycophant in Tom Tiffany. I think, this is not maybe the best example of the litmus test between progressive and moderate. I think the Michigan Senate race was a better example of that.
If Crowley holds on, which seems the most likely outcome at this point, if we're being honest with the audience, what's the big takeaway?
Well, look, the guy that we have largely, ignored tonight or called, negative terms. This race in Wisconsin is going to be nail close. I mean, it's going to be nip and tuck all the way through the end. Correct. No, I mean, Wisconsin races are always close. I think that David Crowley is going to learn more about everything he has ever done in the next 2.5 months, and the voters of Wisconsin are going to learn that too. And again, Tom Tiffany has money right now. David Crowley will get the money. So,
and talk about the political strategy, because this is the kind of stuff you work on, right? If you're working for Tom Tiffany, what does the next 24 hours look like?
I would want, why did this guy get no traction? Why did he drop out? Look at David Crowley's record. I would start picking and probing what's his background. I mean, there's so much research that needs, I'm sure it's already largely been done, but every media interview this guy has ever done, they're going to pick through, and then they're going to start dissecting it. And again, he's got a lot of money. Wisconsin is not an expensive state to advertise in. So this is not going to be a shoe leather state. This is going to be, they're going to blow it out on connected TV and on TV buy.
We're going to go around the horn. Final thought from each of you.
A good night in Wisconsin is when one party wins by 25,000. So it's going to be close. I'm just struck again, the generational urge in the Democratic Party that we're seeing tonight, apart from these ideological fights, that is a consistent theme, and one I think is going to be a big lesson for 2028.
Really motivated Democratic voters, really high turnout in these primaries. Then we saw that last week in Michigan. We're seeing that again. If that is really good news for Democrats, that helps Democrats not just win these races that we've been talking about, Alex, but it helps Democrats win local races. It helps us win school board races. It helps us win assembly races. All of that stuff matters when there's so much standing up to Donald Trump to be done at every level of government.
Close primary campaigns make for good general election candidates. The fight in the primary is a proving ground for the general election. So I love that we're still talking about this race right now.
And I love
It's
that we're still
fantastic.
talking at 11:30 here on the West Coast and 2:30 on the East Coast. And last week when you were all with us and we did an extra hour, our ratings actually grew in the 2 a.m. hour, which never ever happens, but happened because all three of you are so fun to watch and listen to. Thank you for hanging out for the last 3 hours. Our coverage, though, is not done, and we're still awaiting a result here. So we're going to continue to talk about other elections happening as well, just weeks after taking over the Brothers U.S. Senate. We continue to wait final numbers from Wisconsin here on the story. Following election results in South Carolina, where two Republican Senate candidates are advancing to a runoff after a special primary following the death of longtime Senator Lindsey Graham. His sister, Darlene, who was appointed to fill his seat, has now qualified for the August 27th runoff. She'll face off against Representative Ralph Norman. Graham had this to say about two key issues.
Support the right to life. I believe that every human life is sacred and deserves protection. I strongly support the Second Amendment. I believe gun control is how steady you hold your weapon.
Live now to Washington, and Jacob Rubishkin, Deputy Editor at Inside Elections. Please say your last name so I get it.
It's Rubashkin.
Rubashkin, thank you very much for staying up late for us, and you deserve to have it pronounced correctly after doing that. Thanks for being with us. Darlene Graham, that's an easy last name to say. As we bring up the vote totals, it says incumbent next to her name. She's been the incumbent for 28 days. She's running against Ralph Norman, who has been a 5-term congressman from South Carolina. How do you see that race from here? This very interesting dynamic of a new senator with a name that people are so familiar with.
This has been a real whirlwind. We are basically a month to the day since Lindsey Graham passed away, and since Darlene, his younger sister, was appointed to this seat, and less than that since she became a real candidate for this race. A lot of people in the state and in D.C. didn't expect her to run in this election. So things are very fluid. They're moving very quickly. This is a real race, though. I think Ralph Norman was the most difficult opponent for Darlene Graham that she could have drawn in this very condensed 2-week runoff. I think either of these two could end up winning the Republican nomination and likely being the next senator from South Carolina.
And it is crazy to think of just 2 weeks for all of this to happen. When you think about like a presidential election, which goes over 2.5 years, that this is such a condensed time schedule as well. It's been a big night on a lot of different fronts. Wisconsin, Minnesota, we've seen elections around the country. What's your big headline of the night? What's the story that stands out to you?
You know, there are a lot of marquee contests here. The biggest one in Wisconsin, obviously we don't have a race call there yet, but David Crowley looks like he is in pole position to win that race narrowly. If you want to call it the revenge of the moderates, I think that would be a somewhat fair assessment. But then you've got Peggy Flanagan winning that Democratic primary in a blowout in Minnesota. So the progressives have gotten their licks in too. Look, I think that what this is demonstrating is the breadth of the conflicting kinds of candidates and beliefs within the Democratic Party. You've got a wide variety of people from Luke Bronin out in Connecticut's 1st congressional district, who just ousted a 14-term incumbent, John Larson, running essentially from the right in that Democratic primary, all the way to Francesca Hong, a Democratic socialist, nearly winning the gubernatorial nomination in one of the premier swing states in Wisconsin.
And a reminder that candidate quality matters, that And elections are local too, and there are local issues in all of these that are maybe not picked up on the national coverage that really can drive voters as well. And it's going to be fascinating to see where we go from here. It's clear, though, Jacob, voters are engaged, especially on the Democratic side.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we heard this a little earlier. I think Ron was talking about the degree of primary voter turnout. We saw this in Michigan last week. Voter turnout was through the roof. This has been a consistent theme in Democratic primaries, certainly over the last couple of months. Democratic voters are fired up, and they're looking for candidates who are reflecting that fire back at them. When you look at a candidate like Peggy Flanagan in Minnesota, who got up there in her victory speech tonight and said, we need to tear ICE apart. I think those were her words, and remove them from our communities, especially in Minnesota. But in Michigan, Dr. El Sayed there in that primary, voters are looking for candidates who are reflecting their anger and frustration back at them. Whether they're moderate or more progressive, I think is a secondary concern to whether voters think that they're up for the fight.
Jacob staying up late with us to share his insights and his artwork. Nicely done in the decorating behind you. Thanks so much for being with us. We continue to follow what's happening in Wisconsin. Up next, Stephen Olikara, who ran for Senate there, really knows what's happening on the ground, has been in touch with everybody there. Will be back with us. Wisconsin Democratic primary for governor. Still too early to call. State Assembly member Francesca Hong. Tight race with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. Crowley now up by almost 4,000 votes. Hong running out of votes with 98% of the estimated vote in there. It's so close, Stephen Olikara, former U.S. Senate candidate in Wisconsin. But it's looking really good for David Crowley right now.
Absolutely. At this moment right now, you want to be David Crowley. Yeah. The Milwaukee ballots have dropped. They have gone generally in David Crowley's favor. I expect that we'll see some news soon, hopefully very soon. But the big story right now is Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin. This is someone who took a major political swing to resurrect David Crowley's campaign, put his entire force behind him. This was not just an endorsement. For the last week to 2 weeks or so, right when Tony Evers came back from an international trip, he went right on the road with David Crowley. And in the past few days, you heard the tone in Governor Evers' voice in saying, we're going to win this thing. And having known Governor Evers a little bit, I don't think he has a great poker face. No offense to him. He really believed they're going to win this thing. And clearly tonight's results show that.
Just got another brief update. Now Crowley up 3,211 votes ahead in this race, getting closer and closer. So what are the big issues that are going to be at the forefront, assuming this is now Crowley moving forward? What does the November election look like?
So now the race changes. Originally, people thought it was going to be socialism versus MAGA. But now you're going to have a race that's about progressive pragmatism versus MAGA. And that's a very different kind of race. So Tom Tiffany, the Republican nominee, he is someone who is completely wrapped in the MAGA brand. That is a brand that is underwater in Wisconsin by about 15 to 20 points. And so now the focus of the campaign is really going to be on the economy and affordability. What it was almost about to be focused on were these culture war issues and Thanksgiving and abolishing ICE and the police and prisons. That was not good ground for Democrats. But now if you start talking about pocketbook issues, if you start talking about how the Iran war has been driving up costs, and David Crowley can say, hey, I've been serving in the Milwaukee County executive role as a leader, delivering results, that is a completely different conversation, and I think that's going to drive the election going forward.
Wisconsin is one of those states that it's very hard to see the Democrats winning the presidency without winning Wisconsin. When they lost it is usually when they lose the presidency.
Wisconsin has been the decider for national elections for a number of years now, whether it's 2016, you would go back. Wisconsin not just decides elections, but I think we help to decide our political culture as well. And I actually think this result tonight is obviously a game changer for Wisconsin. It's a game changer when you talk about the certification of the next presidential election in 2028. But it also reshapes who might emerge in the 2028 primary on the Democratic side. So this has massive, massive implications tonight, just an earthquake.
And it makes it harder for Republicans to create that caricature, because what Republicans do very, very well, and Democrats do it as well, but Republicans really do it on one of our competing networks, which is to take the most extreme person you've ever seen for one party and say that person is what every Democrat is. So every Democrat is against Thanksgiving because she doesn't like Thanksgiving. They can't do that anymore if she's now not in the race.
What's so unusual about this race that we've seen over the last few weeks is the general election had already started, and Tom Tiffany and Francesca Hahn started going at each other. The Republicans started unloading their opposition on Fran. That became a trial run for Wisconsin Democrats, and they said, we don't like what we're seeing here. And so you're absolutely right. This election that was about to be focused on these cultural war issues are now going to be much more about Donald Trump and his economic record.
It's going to be really fun to watch. Stephen, thank you for being with us the last
pleasure.
few hours as
Thank
our
you.
guide through all of this. One last story before we go. The Powerball jackpot is now the highest it's been since December. The grand prize has soared to an estimated $1 billion after nobody won in Monday night's drawing. The next one will happen on Wednesday. While the payout would be massive, it's still nowhere near the all-time Powerball record of $2 billion, won by a single ticket right here in California almost 4 years ago. The celestial sky will be putting on quite a show over the next few days. First up, a total solar eclipse that's set to cross over Iceland, Greenland, Spain, and Russia. For about 2 minutes, the moon will line up perfectly with the sun, plunging several countries into darkness. And in a rare alignment, the northern hemisphere will get a dazzling look at the Perseid meteor shower in the early hours of Thursday morning. NASA says the Perseids are the best meteor showers to observe. Be sure to tune in to CNN's special coverage of the total. 3 hours of The Story Is. I'm Alex Michelson. CNN Newsroom with Polo Sandoval is next after a quick break, and maybe, just maybe, he'll get to call the race in Wisconsin. Thanks for watching.